Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna. So we'll be discussing something from Bhagavad Gita today, and also we want to set a context for the upcoming festival, which is Gita Jayanti. It's coming soon. I think it is on 11th of December. So before that, we want to again get into Bhagavad Gita. So we all know that Bhagavad Gita is the book which we can never say that, oh, we are read, we have already completed one time, two time. It is like lifetime project. So our life's companion. It has to be always with us. So we'll come up with some series, but today we'll just set a context to understand something. And then as the today's title says, how to connect. So to connect, we have to disconnect. So we'll talk about our connection. So when we go in front of ocean, I don't know, like I think all of us, we have some experience of going in front of ocean sometime or other in life. So different people can go and have the different experiences going in front of ocean. Some people go to just play in the water, some with some friends and something like that. But also there is another way of learning something from the ocean. Actually, ocean is so vast, so unlimited. And when somebody who's very thoughtful and go and, some people, those are little thoughtful, they go and spend some time. So the ocean puts the life into some perspective. When you stand there and start seeing the vastness of ocean, then you see that how vast it is. And it start to put our life into some perspective that we think that my problems in life, challenges I'm facing in my life, it is like ocean. And sometime when we encounter some problems in our life, we feel so overwhelmed. Sometimes those kind of things helps. And you start looking at the ocean and you see that I'm so insignificant. I'm so tiny. And my problems, what I was feeling or thinking like the oceanic, but it is so insignificant. So sometimes just being in front of something which is very vast, something very big, everything start looking very small, or problems start looking small. So why I'm saying this wisdom of Bhagavad Gita, the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, it is like ocean. It might look a small book, one book with some 18 chapters, 700 verses, but the depth of this knowledge is oceanic. So whenever we feel like, oh, my life is too much, too overwhelming, sometimes the situations, and you feel like I don't know how to handle, that is when you have to go and in front of this wisdom which is like the ocean. And then you will start seeing that, the context, a different perspective, that Bhagavad Gita start to put all those situations into different perspective. So this Bhagavad Gita is a wonderful book which can be referred in all situations, in our circumstances, in all walks of our life. And that is how one should make the Bhagavad Gita as the constant companion. We have different companions in this modern age. Who is our companion? Which never leaves us? Mobile. Right. Even the so-called companion, husband, wife, after a few years, they just want to be in their own world. But this mobile phone has become our constant companion. It has to be there from the time that you wake up in the morning till the time you go to the bed. You sleep first, and after that only your mobile sleeps. And that is how the kind of bonding that we have. That is a little unfortunate though, but we can learn and derive some lesson that that kind of companionship that we should develop with this wisdom of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita should become our constant companion. Right. So it is very important that Bhagavad Gita is not something the kind of a book that we come once in a week and hear something for 1 hour, and after that next week only again. We should spend some time to read every day. We'll be talking about that, right? So people are, always in anxiety, and they don't know. They keep trying so many ways to get free from anxiety. But very few people in this world, they realize the solution lies in Bhagavad Gita. The only thing is we have to learn the art. If you make it constant companion, you will see that all the solutions will come out so mysteriously from Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavad Gita can be explained in so many ways and through so many analogies. This ocean is just one analogy. Another analogy is, one devotee was sharing that how one time they were going to attend somebody's funeral, to cremation ground, and they were going in the car, and they put the map. And once you reach the place, and so when they reach the cremation ground, and it says you have reached the destination. And in that moment, the devotee realized, it is like Bhagavad Gita is showing you what is your final destination. Ultimately, at the end of the day, like this Chinese saying, they say that in the game of the chess, no matter who are you, either you are a king or queen or whatever you are, at the end of the game, everybody has to go in the box. That is what is the reality of life, right? So this is a perspective, but that kind of perspective can only linger in our consciousness when Bhagavad Gita becomes our constant companion. So Bhagavad Gita is also, it's a kind of a map. We have the Google Maps, Apple Map, and so many varieties of maps, which helps you to route and to reach the destination. But here in this human form of life, we are in a journey. And journey, what is the destination? It's very important. Sometimes it so happens that we are on a journey without knowing that what is the destination. So we should know what is the destination. So Bhagavad Gita helps. So this is another analogy that we can understand. Bhagavad Gita is like ocean. It's like a map. Map of life shows the destination of life. Also, Bhagavad Gita can be explained through this X-ray. It's sometimes when people have some kind of things going inside, like maybe some pain in the hand or leg and something, and you're not able to figure out that why there is a constant pain and no clue that why it is happening. And when you go to the doctor suggests, okay, why don't you get the X-ray? And then through that X-ray, you can see that something is broken, maybe some bone is, fractured or something is there. So then you can understand the cause of that pain. Now, this is what exactly the situation in our life. There's so many different varieties of pain that we go through. It's not only just physical pain, but sometimes emotional pain and relational pain and so many different varieties of pain. And many times we fail to understand that why I'm not happy with this relationship. What is wrong in this relationship? What is wrong with this person or some situation or some circumstances, something like that. So when there's pain, we have to go through the X-ray. So when you go through the X-ray, and then you'll figure out in the course of going through Bhagavad Gita, and this is what is the problem is. Those problems has been identified in the scriptures so many different ways. The root cause of all the problem is the ego, the false ego. Ichcha dvesha samuttena dvandva mohena bharata. That independent desire to enjoy, that is the root cause of all the pain that we have to experience in this material world. So unless we go through this X-ray of Bhagavad Gita, we'll never get to that understanding that why I'm not comfortable, why I'm not happy, despite having everything in my life. So that is why we are talking here that Bhagavad Gita is such a amazing and wonderful literature that it is the right fit to be the constant companion. It can give the solution and answer to all the questions and all the problems. That is what is Bhagavad Gita is. Right. And it is very interesting to note that in Bhagavad Gita is a dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna that we all know. But Bhagavad Gita is actually dialogue at two different levels. It is not one level dialogue. So one is dialogue on the external level and one is on the inner level, outer and inner level. So on the outer level, we see that who's talking, who starts, Dhritarashtra is asking Sanjaya. That is how the Bhagavad Gita begins. With the question of Dhritarashtra, Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yusava Mamaka Pandavasheva Kim Akurvat Sanjaya. So when all my sons and the sons of Pandu, the Pandavas, when they assembled in the battlefield, what did they do? That is how the Gita begins. And then Sanjay start to answer. So this is the conversation on outer level that Dhritarashtra was a blind person who's the ruling king. He's asking some questions and he's asking about some people. What is happening there? What these people are doing? And he's talking about some event. But next level, you see, there is a conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. Right? Though the context of Bhagavad Gita is the battlefield, where that conversation is happening. It is happening in the battlefield. Context is battlefield, but subject is not battle. Subject is life. So this is the inner level conversation. So external level conversation talking about the people and the events. But the inner level between Krishna and Arjuna, they're talking the dialogue about the wisdom and the purpose and the spiritual life. So we can understand and what Bhagavad Gita is offering. They say that small minds, they talk about people, the average mind, they talk about events, and the great minds, they talk about wisdom. So we should introspect ourselves what we talk about all the time. And surprisingly, we'll find ourselves, we talk about people and events. Hardly we talk about the wisdom. Most of the people, most of our conversation about this person, that person, somebody in the neighbor, somebody in the family, somebody in the office, and then some events. What happened? Some matches going on, some cricket, some elections. These are all events. Everybody is just talking about that. So if we are always absorbed in talking about the people and the events, we are still on an average level. But the great minds, they always talk about the wisdom. And this wisdom is the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita. Also, Bhagavad Gita is compared to the Ganges, Mother Ganga. We all know that how the Ganga flows from the spiritual world. We all know the story that how when the Vaman Dev, in the pastime of Vaman and Bali Maharaj, Vaman Dev stretched his leg and then he pierced through this the layer of the universe, the shell of the universe. And then from that hole, the water from the causal ocean where Lord is lying, the Vishnu is lying, and then water which is washing the feet of Lord, that water flows into this material world. And that is how the Ganga flows from all the three planetary system, from top to middle to bottom. That is what we all understand the Bhagavad Gita, the Ganga. And we all also understand the glories of the Ganges is said in the scriptures. Anyone who takes a dip, who takes bath in Bhagavad Gita, in the due course he'll get purified. Understanding is because this water is not ordinary water. It is like the Charnamrit, the water which is touching the feet of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, and that water which is washed the feet, which is coming down, and that is Ganga. So it is very, very purifying. But Bhagavatam, one verse explains, let me just open that verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. I don't have it handy. One second. It is in the first canto, first chapter, if I remember it right, and then text number 15. Yeah, that's correct. So this is in the first canto, first chapter, text number 15. So this verse says, Yat Pada Samshraya Suta Munya Prashmayana Sadhya Punati Upasrishtaha Swardhani Aponu Sevaya. So translation Prabhupada writes here, Suta, those great sages who have completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Those great sages who have taken the complete shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord can at once sanctify those who came in touch with them, whereas the waters of the Ganges can sanctify only after prolonged use. So, yes, Ganga also purifies the person, but after prolonged use, you have to go again and again, take dip, and again person comes out, and then he gets again contaminated. Then that is how people have the tradition of going to some pilgrimage place, some dham, where the Ganga is there, and they take the dip. People say, now we have become free from all the sins, like that. So, yes, that is the glory of Ganga. But Shankaracharya, he writes in the Gita Mahatmya, the glories of Bhagavad Gita, and he gives the comparison of Bhagavad Gita to the Ganga. He says, Maline mochanam pumsam jalasnanam dine dine sakrat Gita amrita snanam samsara malanashanam. One may cleanse himself daily by taking a bath in a water, but if one takes a bath even once in the sacred Ganges water of Bhagavad Gita, for him the dirt of material life is altogether vanquished. So I am bringing this point here is, for how many of us it is possible to take dip daily or at least once in a few months or maybe in a year to go and take dip in the Ganga? None of us, especially those who are living in this country. Even sometime once in a while we go to India, you not necessarily go to take dip in the Ganga. Maybe like think of how many times in our lifetime we have taken the dip. So that facility, that opportunity is very, very limited for whatever reasons. But then we get the clue here that Sakrat Gita Amrata Snanam Samsara Malanashanam. We can still get completely purified by taking the bath in the Ganges of Bhagavad Gita. So the Mother Ganga, it has emanated from the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. But Bhagavad Gita, which is also compared to the Ganga, it has emanated not from the feet, from the lips of the Supreme Lord Krishna. So it is even more powerful than taking the dip in Ganga. So one should take daily dip into Bhagavad Gita. How many of us are taking dip? It's important. That is why we started this shloka a day. At least one shloka, some little, not full dip, some sprinkle, little bit. Some purification has to happen, right? So that is why the Lord has given us all this opportunity. So Ganga in Satyuga came from the lotus feet of the Lord. In Dwapar Yuga, it emanated from the lotus lips of Lord Krishna. And the same Ganga in Kali Yuga has emanated from the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the form of, through his eyes, in the form of tears, tears of love of Godhead. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was chanting the holy name, the Ganga was emanating from his eyes, from his heart. So that is also another thing that we can take dip, which is in the taking the dip in the holy name. So all these facilities being given to us in this Kali Yuga, that we should take dip daily in Bhagavad Gita, in the holy name, and remain purified. Otherwise, invariably, we keep getting contaminated. So it is very, very important that we need to understand that how wonderful and amazing book is. Sometimes when we don't discuss all this, we don't contemplate on all these points, then we kind of take it very casually. We kind of underestimate the value of this book, Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says that Rahashyam hi etad uttamam. This knowledge is the Rahashyam. This is the most confidential knowledge. But how many of us we truly realize that this is the Rahashyam? This is truly the confidential knowledge. What is confidential about Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita is available in this modern age everywhere. You can buy a book, or a hard copy, or you can even go online and then download the PDF. whatever version, English or any language, everything is available. How it is confidential? We'll understand that also. And Krishna says it's confidential. Why it remains confidential? What is the point? What is the meaning of that? And before that, what we are discussing here is it is very important because Bhagavad Gita puts our life into perspective. It gives us a alternative perspective, a different vision of looking at things. And that is why we say that even in this world also, the different people they look at the different things or different situations differently. Right? One time, this one couple, they're looking at another couple, and this another couple. So the husband opens the door of the car and helps the wife to sit in the front seat and very gently close the door. And the other couple, when who was looking, they're saying the wife is saying to the husband, "Looks like marriage is new." And husband says, "No, car is new." Right. So the point is, same situation, but you look differently. So it is important to have some better perspective on looking at the situations. That is why you see the people, sometimes, we come across some people, they find problems in every opportunity. Everywhere they see the problem only. Wherever they go, they can see only problems, faults, points of the people, system, the management, and everything. And there are some people, those, you know, their perspective is in every problem, they find the opportunity. So, what makes our perspective different? This is what is the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita. We can see problems in every opportunity, or we can see the opportunity in every problem. So, this is what it is, right? And that is very natural. It is nothing to surprise that why different people look at the different things because we all come from a different background. This life is not just one chapter. This is, the journey of innumerable chapters. This is the book. Our life is like a book of multiple chapters. What we are facing and reading now is just one chapter. So there are conditioning of so many other chapters from the previous life. So much of conditioning, and based on those conditioning, we develop certain perspective. Also, when we come in this material world, there's so many other factors has to take into consideration that why we develop the perspective the way we have the perspective based on where we take the birth, what kind of upbringing, what kind of circumstances, and what kind of education, and so many other factors are there. So we are all conditioned in a certain way. Sometimes we feel ourselves like helpless. I don't know. I cannot help myself. I have to see like that only. Whenever I see someone, I see some problems only. So how to change? And sometimes people they try to change, but they find it very hard to really change their conditioning like that. And they kind of give up. They say, "No, I am the way I am. There's no hope for me. I'm like that only." And the good news is this, right? Good news is that we can still change those perspective. There is there is a there is a option to change that. And how to change that? With constant hammering of this wisdom. And over a period of time, you will see you are a different person. That is why we say that Bhagavad Gita is not the book of information, it's a book of transformation. So if you daily read and contemplate and meditate, many people might have some information that, in India, there is a tradition of chanting the Bhagavad Gita verses. Some people, like very sharp minded, some kids, they memorize the whole of Bhagavad Gita, 700 verses, and all of that is great. But that is not the real purpose. It is great to learn all the verses, but important is develop the alternative perspective, based on that wisdom. So it can be changed, and how to change or conditioning can be transformed by the proper training with the sound vibration of Bhagavad Gita. So it is very important that we hear every day. We take out some time and then we connect. So to connect to this Bhagavad Gita, many times, in this modern age, the standard excuse is no time, right? That no time is the standard excuse. But very few people realize the problem is not no time. Problem is it's not on your priority. When something is on your priority, then you will figure out how to squeeze out the time. Right. So it is no time, it is not a no time problem. It is prioritizing something. And why we don't prioritize certain things? Because we don't sufficiently understand the value of that thing. So if we are lacking in reading Bhagavad Gita daily and thinking no time, we're too busy, so many things are going on, please remove that misconception. It is not about so many things going on. It's not about you're too busy. Sometimes it may happen once in a while, but that cannot be your life. The problem is we are not understood the importance of reading Bhagavad Gita daily sufficiently. So it is important if we really want to change our perspective, become a more transformed, broad-minded person in our life. Forget about your spiritual life. I'm talking about the material life. Even your material life will become more productive and more efficient if we make Bhagavad Gita as the constant companion. So, but to get that connection, you have to disconnect. And that is what we are talking today. Disconnect to connect. Why there is no time? There's time for everything. The time to scroll the mobile, watch the reels, watch the YouTube videos, just for entertainment, not necessarily something meaningful we are watching. Sometimes chit chat with some friends or some relatives over the phone for hours and hours. Simply, people like they say, okay, or tell more. They have nothing to tell. They have to think more, to tell more. And both of them they struggle because people doesn't have some better things to do in their life. They just kill the time like that, and then they say that there's no time. So important is that we disconnect, right? We disconnect to connect. So that should be the priority, that there has to be some time in our life where we disconnect ourselves. And that program is called the daily sadhana, daily practices. And Srila Prabhupada, he has been so ingenious to, to inculcate that daily sadhana program in the life of the devotees who are practicing, following Krishna consciousness. So it is a defined, identified time. At this time to this time, no other connection, only connection with Krishna. So morning sadhana program, what Prabhupada has given. Get up early morning, get ready, attend Mangalarti. After Mangalarti, chanting like Mahamantra. So all the devotees in the temple, they take the vow to chant 16 rounds every day. It's a very scientific thing that again we sometimes we don't understand that what is scientific in that. But these acharyas, the great acharyas and the spiritual teachers, they're great scientists. They are spiritual scientists. Their science is different. They know that how the things work. Like an ordinary scientist, he knows that you take two hydrogen and one oxygen and mix, and water will come out. Similarly, all these great acharyas, they are spiritual scientists. They understand. Chant 16 rounds, read Bhagavad Gita daily, eat Krishna Prasadam. What will come out? The water from the eyes, the love of Krishna. It will come out. But you have to follow the process. It's a science. So Prabhupada has made the system that every morning you disconnect at least those few hours. And yes, that is the system, but how sincerely you are following is a different question. But that is what everybody, those who are serious in their spiritual life, you should identify some time where you disconnect from everything. There's so many things to disconnect, but at least something you should disconnect. No mobile, no people, no talking, no nothing. That time you just, dedicatedly, committedly, you and Krishna. That is exclusive time with the Lord. And then you chant some number of rounds. Different devotees, they chant different number of rounds. Read some wisdom, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, so many other books that Prabhupada has given. Start with something, at least few minutes in a day, and it can be any time. Preferably, it should be morning time, Brahma Muhurta time, which is very, very conducive, very favorable. But for whatever practical reasons, if it doesn't work, Then find out some time of the day. Disconnect to connect. If we are seriously interested in connecting to the Lord, you have to disconnect. Otherwise, we'll be like keep feeling overwhelmed, and then we'll be keep giving the excuse, no time, no time, no time. So cut off. Like we can say that at the end of the day when you sleep, nobody, sleeps with like all my work is done in life. Now no more work today. Tomorrow some new work will come. We still sleep with some pending works only. Right? That is the reality of life. So why we struggle to, keep stretching ourselves till, we lie on the bed and still say, okay, now I'll do tomorrow. So have some regulated lifestyle, you know, fix some time and then include in this time of connection with the Lord. Chanting time, reading time, hearing time, something, whatever. Start with few minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, whatever, based on your level of seriousness, and do that. But this connection is very, very important. But to get that connection, you had to disconnect. So many things actually which holds us back to connect to Krishna. I'm just giving this one example of daily sadhana. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarv dharman paritaja mam ekam sharanam raja. And give up all varieties of religion. So basically what Krishna is saying, you just disconnect from all your opinions, all your ideas, all your concepts that you have developed over a period of time from your surroundings. Disconnect from that and just do what I'm saying. It's not easy. It's a lifetime project. So to disconnect from our own old opinions, they say that in the English language, the most dangerous phrase is, I had done it this way only. So those who are very adamant to do certain things in certain way, not ready to change and adopt the new means, then they remain average. So we should learn, okay, I might have lived my life all these years certain way. Oh, every day I had to talk to some people, to call 1 hour, I had to watch some, YouTube reels or something, whatever. This much time it is important, this is important part of my life. Check my status on Facebook and all of that. Change. Squeeze out time from something. Just be ready to adopt and adapt. That is what is the great minds, they do that. Right. So this is what we are discussing, that if you want to get connect, then we have to disconnect every day. So this disconnect means the sadhana time, daily sadhana. Just few minutes we chant, few minutes you read some verses from Bhagavad Gita, few minutes you hear something, attend some call, like that. And now another important thing is when you do that only. Many times over a period of time, what happens is like we become so familiar, like you take the chanting bag in the hand, start chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And in the chanting bag, they design that one finger comes out. And there was a reason for that finger to come out, but people are using to scroll that. While chanting only, they keep using the finger to scroll the mobile. And that was not the design of the chanting bag. Right. So one should be very careful. Unfortunately, in this modern age, most of us, we are in a trap without realizing that we are in a trap. Most of us, we can't deny that, no, 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 I'm free from all these traps. Traps is this multitasking. While you're chanting Hare Krishna, first of all, your mind is already in 100 places, which is a little difficult to control. It will come with the practice. That depending later. But first to deal with at least your external engagements. Sometimes people, they say, okay, while chanting only, I can finish some work also. Some cooking also I can finish in the kitchen. Put the cooker into some rice and some dal and some water, some washing, something, and chanting is going on one hand. That is not the right way. Connection means you are focused. That time you and Krishna, nothing else is coming. It can be a short time, can be some few minutes, but have that quality time. Similarly, hearing. Again, because we are in a trap of this multitasking with this modern, style of working, and it is considered a very, very great ability. Some people think like that. It's a great ability that you can multitask. But now, with a lot of studies, they have figured out, and they are now saying no. We are not wired to do multitasking. We are wired to do one thing at a time. If you really do want to do something quality work, anything, either material or spiritual, it has to be one thing at a time. That is how we are designed, right? So hearing also, most of the people hear all these kind of discussions and all these lectures, what we are doing here on Zoom. So yes, it's a great facility. Like everybody cannot drive to the temple, those are staying far off. But then we should be very, very thoughtful that I'm committed to hear this. Let me just be focused on hearing this for whatever few minutes we are sitting. What happens? You are on the Zoom, we turn on this thing and put there in the kitchen. Somebody is talking on the Zoom, and the cooking is also going on. You deal with so many other things in the household things and all of that. And many times, what happens is people give the reason, and this reason sounds like very logical reasons. That Prabhuji, there's no other time, like there's no exclusive time to sit and hear 1 hour class. So it is something is better than nothing. Sounds like a logical reasoning, right? Something is better, something while we are cooking, put some lecture on and then we'll keep hearing and all of that. Yes, at one level we can say yes. It's a great thing that you can have at least you hear one line, one word, something clicks to you, something remains in your mind, which is a great thing. But we should look the bigger picture, and bigger picture is this. So it's not about utilizing time at that time. You are also by that activity of creating some patterns. Most of the people don't understand all this deeper, insights that we constantly keep creating some patterns in our brain. So you're training your brain to do the multitasking, and you will realize soon that you will never be able to focus on anything because you're trained yourself. While you're cooking, you want to hear. While you're hearing, you want to do something else. When you're chanting, you want to finish your work. When you're working, you think, oh, my chanting is not finished. Like that. See how your brain is, it is not focused. So ultimately, the idea is the connection with the Lord, where the connection is happening. So very externally, and me doing chanting, reading, hearing, everything is life is going great. Everything is happening intact. Tick marks. 16 rounds done. 1 hour Gita reading done. 1 hour lecture listening also done, and all of that is done. But the question is, was there a moment when you really got connected? So to connect, we had to disconnect. That is how we need to understand all those things gradually. Otherwise, we just, develop some wrong patterns. And over a period of time, you will struggle. And especially in this modern age, you see that how our life is becoming so superficial, especially for the youth. And we say youth, but actually even the adults are also not exempted from this. Not to put all the time, everything on the youth only. We are also in the same trap, maybe a little less. With all this scrolling and watching the reels every 15 seconds, like we are creating the patterns. But every 15 second, 20 second, 30 second, I need something new, some new variety, some new variety. One reel shows you some Bollywood, another reel some Hollywood, another reel some politics, another reel some sports. Like randomly, just keep popping up something. So many varieties is being offered. But in the real life, there's no such variety like this. Real life situation is different. You have to go to the office 6 hours or 8 hours, whatever, to sit with the same people. Like you don't find like every 15 minutes, 15 seconds, the people are changing, work is changing, and the place is changing, nothing is changing. So when we create those kind of patterns of every few seconds, there is a new variety. But the real life situation is a little different. There's not that many varieties. Start getting bored with everything in life. That is how you see that how by sharing other day that this Microsoft a few years back they had done this in the research, and they found that human attention span. So earlier there was a study being done and they said that this goldfish has the lowest attention span, which was like 11 seconds or something. But in the recent study, these human beings, they found that they have 8 seconds. They defeated even the goldfish also. This is what is the human span. And we are not realizing that how we are becoming so distracted. We are constantly distracted. Where is the connection? Where is the connection with the Lord? You're sitting chanting in front of the temple, in front of the deities, Krishna Balram, Hare Krishna, you're chanting, and mind will wander like 100 other places where that connection happened. So we have to connect, means you have to disconnect. We have to practice this disconnection. It's very important. Otherwise, we'll be keep struggling. So that is why disconnect to connect at least few minutes in a day. Take out that quality time. Whatever we do, a Prabhupada says that, something you're doing, do it with quality. If you're chanting one round, do it with your best of your ability, best of your quality. Don't just like a tick mark, you finish the things like that. You read just one verse of Bhagavad Gita, but in that time, just be in that moment. Read attentively, think, contemplate, and that is the way to absorb this knowledge. Right. So it is not about again tick mark that oh I finished Bhagavad Gita. We are reading daily this sloka a day. So in just span of 2 years, we finished all the 700 verses. We are not running the race of completion. The spiritual life is not the process of some goal post. Okay, now I reached this. 5 chapters are over. Bhagavad Gita is over. Now Bhagavatam is also over. Something is also over. Life is over. But there's no connection. What is the point? I'm not saying that this is something wrong, but this is not the best practice to practice spiritual life. So here we are talking about not between good and or not between right and wrong or good or bad. We're talking about the good and the best. So what we are talking is best. If you are doing chanting distracted also, it is good. You are reading Bhagavad Gita somehow here there while cooking, it is good. We are learning here how to do it best. Right. So this Bhagavad Gita has to be learned and how to learn Bhagavad Gita. And then we see that how when we start learning Bhagavad Gita and we start integrating this wisdom and all these things in our daily life, then you will see even your matter life is also becomes much more productive to deal with a different situation and circumstances. Right now, I'll just spend few minutes to explain how to learn this Bhagavad Gita. Many times people struggle, even after many years of being into Krishna consciousness. They struggle. They say, Prabhuji, we are reading Bhagavad Gita, we open, we read something, we finished also, but nothing is making sense. We are not able to understand it properly or something like that. So I'll spend few minutes to understand that what is the right way to learn this Bhagavad Gita. So first thing we should understand this knowledge of scriptures like Gita, Bhagavatam, or any other spiritual book. This knowledge is not the knowledge like any other knowledge, like material knowledge. But take one book, start reading one chapter, another chapter. If you're very sharp, you understand the concepts and you remember some details, the data, near all that. So this is called the linear way of learning. But Bhagavad Gita or any other wisdoms, scriptural knowledge, it is not linear way of learning. It is a spiral way of learning. What is a spiral? It's in the linear, you read something, you are sharp, you understood, you remember, and done. There's no need to read it again. So the same thing I read already, I understood it. But a spiral way means you go round and round. The same Bhagavad Gita, you read one time, you read second time, you read third time, and you can keep reading rest of your life. And you will never say that oh, the same boring stuff I already read like 10 times. Now there's interesting science behind it. That why it happens. Because it's a different wisdom, first of all. The knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is like a zip file. Sometimes zip file, how it is, you have to unzip it. So zip file is like they compact it and becomes like very small. But if you have the tools to unzip, and suddenly you'll see that a lot of things comes out, a lot of files, folders, and all of that will come out. So Gita is like that. You may say 18 chapters, 700 verses. Small only, I'll finish in 6 months. But if you learn the art, the code to unzip, then you will see not 6 months or 6 years, even 60 years will be less to unzip completely. But we need to learn that art. What is that code? So the code is so many things that how do we understand? And it is not like just some information gathering, as I said, So even this is something interesting that many times people, they try to read Bhagavad Gita as some kind of information gathering. They say that there are two ways of getting blinded. How somebody gets blinded? When there is no light, you get blinded. Sometimes when there's too much of light, still you're blinded. Right? When you drive on the road, like in the night, and Suddenly some light falls in your eyes. That time also, we get blinded. So this material knowledge in this modern age is like that people are blind with so much of information, so much of data. Everything is easily accessible, but still there's no vision. They say that they are more unfortunate than those who are born with no vision. Who are more unfortunate, those who are born with the sight, but they have no vision. So most of the people in this modern age, so much information access, but there's no true perspective in life. So Bhagavad Gita offers that perspective. So how to get that? The process is very simple. That Bhagavad Gita, number one, it should be learned in the association of the people, those who are practicing Bhagavad Gita. They're called the teachers, the spiritual teachers, the mentors, the spiritual masters, like that. So it should be learned under their guidance only. That is the number one thing. And that is very, very important. And how to do it? Do it like a systematic commitment, daily sadhana. So sadhana means, like it is just like, I think of this example. Like if you look like think of this example of, say, the big water tank. Say some 500 gallons, some tank, water tank. And you start adding one drop of blue ink into this. So the day one, you add one blue ink. Something would happen. Water will become blue. It's 500 gallon. Nothing happens. 2 days, 3 days, 10 days, 1 month, nothing happens. And somebody doesn't know the art. They'll say, oh, this has already been 1 month. 30 days I'm adding this one drop ink. Nothing is happening. People give up, right? But the process is consistency. Keep adding, keep adding, keep adding. And suddenly one day you will start to see there's some blue hue is there in the water. Though the water will not become completely blue now, but you will see some blue, hue is there in the water. That is when you get the confidence. Something is happening. And that gives you the confidence to continue to add more drops. Keep adding, keep adding, keep adding, keep adding. Suddenly you will say, watercolor has changed. So similarly, our consciousness is like that, right? Prabhupada gives this another analogy is, between this grandfather and this grandchild, there is a conversation. And this grandfather was he was having the habit of daily reading Bhagavad Gita. And he would pull his grandchild, hey, come and sit. He would not like. Nothing makes sense to him. And he was arguing with his grandfather that what is the point? I'm not understanding even a single word. What you're talking, what you're reading, and all that. So the grandfather wanted to teach him a lesson. Says, so they used to live in a village. And he says, okay. And the village was on the river side. So this grandfather gave him one basket, which was used for, collecting some coal. It's completely black basket. He gave him that basket and he says, okay, now go to the river, fill some water and bring it back. So this child, he runs to the close by river, pull some, put some water into that, but all the water leaks out in the basket. That, and he tried to run how much ever hard, it never worked. He would never gather the water and bring there. And he was saying to the grandfather, no, no, it is not going to work. It is not working. He said, no, this time you should try hard. You should go fast. You should run fast. And maybe you should try more sincerely, more creatively, more innovatively. Oh, he tried all different ways. Nothing works. And one day he finally gave. He says, I told you the day one only that it is not going to work. Now over is over. And that time, in that moment, that grandfather says, now look at the basket. Though you could not collect the water, the basket color had changed. It was completely that black earlier. But in the course of you running and putting into water, trying to bring back, though you couldn't get the water, but the basket has become clean. So that is how the process works. So many times people complain, Prabhuji, we are reading Bhagavad Gita, but we are not able to remember anything. No verses. Class also very nice. But after that, we forget everything. Looks like not helping much. But we should understand how it is helping. That is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. Cheto darpan marjanam bhava maha davagni nirvapanam. So what happens first is Cheto darpan marjanam. Our consciousness start to get purified. And how do we understand that my consciousness is getting purified? What is the test? There any test that I can measure that my consciousness is getting better? Can anybody help? The answer, those are joining online or whether in person here. What are the symptoms?
Our perspective changes.
Perspective changes. Yes, you're saying something. Okay, more love for Krishna, appreciation. Yes. What else? Okay, shortcomings will become easy to handle all that.
You
Okay.
will start losing taste for the material stuff, like
So our
this.
priority changes, preferences changes, or commitment. It can be small commitment, like, oh, I'll chant one round of Hare Krishna mantra, but it was not there earlier. This is just one commitment. Once in a week, Saturday evening, I'll go to the temple, listen some class. It was not there in life. So many years. It is coming. Some interest is coming, some appreciation is coming, some taste is coming. So that is the sign, So that is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. Sometimes, people ask that when we chant Hare Krishna mantra, when we do all these things, comes to the temple, and the scriptures glorifies a lot about all those things. Some magic should happen in our life. But Prabhuji, no magic is happening in life. We've been coming for months, chanting, reading. No magic is happening. So yes, magic is happening. We should have the eyes to see that magic. The magic is the people in this modern age, they don't have the patience to even sit for like few minutes in one place and try to hear something. They need the varieties and those people, the same very people, they come, sit in the class 1 hour in Bhagavad Gita class and they listen. And most of them they listen with some interest. Some of them they might listen also when this guy is gonna stop. That also can be the case sometime, but that is not the case all the time. People are very consistent, committedly coming, listening. That is what is the magic of this process. That we are driving the pleasure in some simple things like that, sitting together and talking something. We're not doing anything. People are trying to do so many things. They go to some mountains and jump from the top, some bungee jumping, scuba diving, paragliding. They need some excitement in life. And here we are simply sitting in a small room and talking something, which for most of the people in this world doesn't make sense. And still we are very satisfied. At the end of this kind of programs, we feel like, oh, it was nice. That satisfaction is coming. Simple just chanting some Hare Krishna, hearing some one verse from Bhagavad Gita, eating some simple prasadam, and all of that. And still we feel so much satisfaction. This is what is the magic. That satisfaction comes from the simple things. So we start to explore. People think that the joy and the excitement has to come from doing something out of the box thing. And the reality is when we start to read Bhagavad Gita again and again and start observing and understand this absolute truth, you come to the conclusion that the absolute truth is very simple. Life is not complex. Truth is not complex. It is very simple. Simple means chant Hare Krishna, read Bhagavad Gita, hear Bhagavad Gita, do some seva, and feel so satisfied and so contented. That is the magic of these spiritual practices, right? So people, sometimes say that what is Bhagavad Gita? Is this a religious book? What is the answer? Is it a religious book? No. What is not religious? It is a religious book or not? Okay. Yes. So we can say it's a religious book also, but it is a partial truth. We cannot say, oh, it's a religious book only. It's definitely a religious book. As Mataji said, it's a spiritual book. Okay. Yes, it's a spiritual book. And many times people say, oh, I'm spiritual, I'm not religious. This has become the fashion in this modern age. It sounds very cool, right? Like, oh, I'm spiritual, I'm not religious. Yes, Bhagavad Gita is the religious book. It is a spiritual book. But now I would say it is not just religious and spiritual, but it's a book which is the right fit to be the constant companion, which has to be 24 bar 7 with us. And when I say that book should be there with us 24 bar 7, doesn't mean that you carry the book. all the time. That wisdom, the thought, some one verse you read and some thought-provoking ideas you get, and then you carry that, you contemplate, you meditate, you share. That is the kind of book that Bhagavad Gita is, and this is the wisdom which offers. So makes this book as life's companion. For that, you have to get little disconnect from other companions, especially this modern companion that we all have. Just be a little careful. We are all in a trap. A lot of time goes into this. So we can squeeze out some time, disconnect to connect. So chant, read, hear, at least start with something those are not doing. Those who are already doing, just be watchful, be conscious that you are actually getting connected in the process. It should not become just a ritual of completion, tick marks, that okay, my rounds are done. And this multitasking. Sometimes people have the habit of chanting and at the same time hearing something and sometimes reading something and watching something. Okay, no, what I'm watching some lecture only, some Prabhuji's lecture. And then one minute I'm chanting also. These are not the good practices for any serious spiritual practitioner. As I said, because we are creating some patterns. We want to be completely focused on Krishna. When you are doing something with the chanting, reading, you have to be with Krishna. No other thing like that. So we have to learn to disconnect sometime in a day. All other times you can still be connected to other things and keep thinking about Krishna and thinking about that wisdom. But at least sometime in a day, we should disconnect ourselves to connect to Krishna, right? And this wisdom, Bhagavad Gita, chanting, reading. And this Bhagavad Gita is such a wisdom that it equips us with a tool to handle the life quakes. All of us, we know about earthquakes. Can we say that when the earthquake is going to come? Not now, but sometime we can say like it is coming tomorrow, then they can predict something. But in general, people can say when it will come, earthquake, what intensity earthquake, where it will come, when it will come. We can't say. And when some earthquakes comes, a lot of damage happens. And then people they struggle and then they manage to come back. Right. Like the Japan is the country famous for getting the earthquakes. And they're so expert in, bouncing back. Why I'm bringing this is earthquake we all know, but in our life, some quakes comes and they're called the life quakes. Invariably, we'll experience, we'll all will encounter some life quakes in our life. Are we ready to handle those life quakes? What are the life quakes? Can come in any form. We lose some near and dear ones. Suddenly somebody passes away. How you handle with that? They say that problems can be handled, you know, but the crisis, the calamities has to be tolerated. Problems can be handled, crisis can find the solutions, but the calamities has to be tolerated only. How you tolerate this kind of situations? And invariably those situations will come. Somebody passes away, somebody lose the job, somebody, some issues in the relation, something, some disease, some terminal disease or something like that. So how to handle that? So if we are well equipped with this wisdom of Bhagavad Gita, then you can handle this. Otherwise, there's no other way. Right. So this is what is the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita, but we all know all these things. It's a kind of a reinforcement what we're talking today. So important is that to connect to this wisdom, to connect to Krishna, we had to disconnect. So learn to disconnect, practice to disconnect for a few minutes in a day, do some quality chanting, quality reading, quality hearing, and then you will see the transformation in the consciousness. Okay, these are some of the thoughts. So now this Gita Jayanti is coming soon, so we'll come up with something. We'll discuss something more on Bhagavad Gita. I wanted to just set the context for the upcoming sessions. Okay, let me just pause here and see if anybody has any quick question or any comment. Anybody having? Those who are online, any questions? Okay,